Good afternoon, everybody. It's 12:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name's Max, and it's a pleasure, as always, to welcome you to our MOCA Weekly Town Hall. Joining me, as always, is Daim. To my right, joining me, as always, below is the wonderful virtual face of Renee.
Hey, guys.
And we're excited to be here.
Hello, hello.
How are you two doing today? What's new in tech world?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Your worlds, which I presume is there's an overlap with tech world, but how are you?
Can't complain.
Excellent.
Some bullish news here and there on sentiment around Ethereum is always good to read.
Well, perhaps we can start there, and you can inform me of the bullish news on Ethereum. I have been underexposed.
Oh, I'm not sure there's anything terribly specific. Just seeing a lot of posts about ever fickle crypto influencers and thought makers, or whatever the hell they call themselves these days, coming back to Ethereum due to the obvious institutional interest steadily building, given that there's really no other alternative chain that can offer to the world what the Ethereum world computer can. So I think to those of us who understand the tech, this has always been sort of an inevitability, but
maybe
it's good to see people
dig on this topic a little bit. As my own history, I have not been shy to share. I started doing crypto, I guess, real crypto behavior outside of just investing on Coinbase when I was on Solana. And then I kind of found my way back to Ethereum, or rather I found my way to Ethereum, but I never really had a technical basis in it. I mean, I understand the whole kind of like idea of its revolutionariness as like a point of stake network. But what is the tech? Like when you say, Daim, that like these people are coming back because they're recognizing kind of the Ethereum based tech supremacy, like what is the thinking there? What is the tech supremacy that Ethereum still has over newer chains, whether it's, an L2 like base or a monad?
I mean, I don't think any other chain that implements a similar set of like features and capabilities has anywhere remotely the breadth and depth and decentralization as Ethereum does.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the posts I was reading this morning was saying basically that sort of part of the magic of both Bitcoin and Ethereum is that they both arose sort of before the hype became like so obviously justified that it was sort of building up to be common sense for a larger and larger audience to buy into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bitcoin and Ethereum both essentially built and solidified and strengthened in an environment where the people that initially bought in with like this sort of long-term conviction that was based on like genuine passion and belief in the technology and that it would change the world. And nowadays anything new that launches, it's basically a very sort of balance sheet type proposition. Whether you I don't know, start to mine or provide a node, or however it works. And like that's not how and why the people running Bitcoin nodes and Ethereum nodes got into that stuff. And so I think it's very difficult, if not downright impossible, to basically build realistic competition these days,
Mm.
in like a financially viable way.
I mean, it's
But I'm sure Renee probably has a bit more insight into this, and especially the deeper tech parts.
Yeah, I mean, what I like most about Ethereum is indeed like the ability for everybody to run a node on pretty low hardware requirements, which leads to this crazy scale of decentralization. Like, I mean, aside from the fact that it's integrated everywhere almost, and that it is, I would say, a hub for most other blockchains to route value through. Like, if you want to go to another chain, you can always go through Ethereum and have like liquidity there, and the market or the wider community or the planet, so to speak, has decided for that to happen because they trust it as like one of like the most neutral blockchains out there, which results from the decentralization partly. So you can like host an Ethereum node thanks to developers like that node, or like the different client teams, all of those working together to provide like easy to deploy packages. And then you have like a small piece of hardware costing around $300 or something, or let's say less than 500, and then you can deploy and run an Ethereum node. And even if you want, stake Ethereum and become a solo staker to even like get a return on investment on your Ether without having any dependency on somebody else. I think that's pretty significant, because compared to that, for example, when you want to host a Solana node, you need to basically have data center grade hardware. It's nothing that you can just do at home at a regular, like with a regular small mini PC that you could buy on Amazon. Like, you need to have like way higher hardware requirements. And that is, in my opinion, one reason why it's hard to scale it out as a grassroots movement. While in Ethereum, people from all over the world wanted to support the network and maybe have an old notebook or something. They can like set it up to become an Ethereum node, plug it in, and let it run.
When you're like building on the network on like a tech side, do you see the results of that decentralization? Is that like helpful in any way, shape, or form when you're actually like coding or connecting to the network?
It depends on what you are building, but it definitely helps if you want to, for example, if you have like a small team building applications on Ethereum, you can like in your office or co-working spot where you hang out, or like a working place, work living space where you are together, depending on like the stage your startup is being in. And then you can like host one of these nodes and directly communicate with the Ethereum network via that RPC, and have like a direct entry, so to speak, via your own hardware. And that can be beneficial because you don't need to share public RPC endpoints that the regular MetaMask user or whatever is using. Something other that just came to my head when talking about like clients, Ethereum has like a unique position where client diversity is a thing. Like a client to the Ethereum network, which you need to install on your hardware, like to basically have like an Ethereum node and connect into the network. There are multiple teams working on software in different programming languages even, and you can, as somebody who wants to run an Ethereum node, choose your favorite flavor of the client that you want to install. Can even like have multiple nodes with multiple different clients. So in case some of the clients goes down, or like has like a bug in the deployment, like pushed by the team that's building it, then the other clients still work and ensure that the network is up and running. and it only partially defuncts from all the nodes that upgrade to that particular client, which has been bricked. And for Solana, as like an example, there's only one client. So when the Solana client deep dev team pushes an update that breaks the client software, then all nodes that upgrade to that new client version, which might be even required, like is going to fall, and like the network is going down in that case, or can go down depending on the upgrade or update cycles that those people are using. And there are way less Solana nodes around the globe all using the same client for the reasons I just stated. So in Ethereum, client diversity is actively pushed by the foundation and by the community, so that you can imagine like a cake diagram, which always shows like the distribution on the network in real time, so to speak, like which clients have what amount of network share. And then when there are new clients coming out and they only have like 1% network share, everybody says, maybe you want to change your node to that new client, so that the share of the network of this new client goes up, so that you have like an evenly distributed share of each of these different client softwares, which basically sustain or allow the network to be online. And the Ethereum network was never offline. And that's another reason, like they have a track record of be always reliably online. Few years ago, when the network hasn't been built out in a way, or like so the code and the protocol hasn't been matured like it is right now, we saw like crazy gas spikes, but you could like just pay the amount of gas required and get your transaction in. Like it's not that you were not able to because the network was down. And so much has happened over the past few years since the upgrade of Ethereum 2.0. Like that was already during the bear market and nobody gave a fuck. And even since then, like lots of stuff has happened, which results in, like if you check Etherscan right now, like the gas is 0.12 Gwei. And back in the days, we had 1,000 Gwei when like weird NFT drops were happening, and a couple thousand people at the same time visited a website to mint apes or something.
So that can never basically with the new Ethereum kind of like technology.
Yeah, all the new upgrades to the network increase the block space and like certain other things that are pretty technical, and the protocol developers are doing God's work on that end to take all this abstracted stuff, and in the end we see like a very low gas number and that allows us to get our transactions into the network for way cheaper cost at the same demand, as the same demand happens as like 4 years ago. And I think the demand for block space on Ethereum is just like going to grow, because for the reason that is like this network that has this neutrality and it has this decentralization, and it is a global hub of like database or like currency balances, especially for stable coins and stuff. Like all of these things are going to run through Ethereum because they have the compatibility and the reliability to facilitate all of this.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm super excited about Ethereum and always have been so excited about Ethereum. And the case for L2s, I think it still stands. It's just that even there, the transaction costs will be cut lower. So everything can scale together, and you still might have a use case for a layer 2 that's built on top of Ethereum, even though like an NFT that you create is now 100x or 1000x. Oh yeah, if you compare 1,000 Gwei to 0.1 Gwei, it's 10,000x cheaper right now than it was in the peak NFT craze. But a token swap right now is 13 cents. So there are still use cases where you pay fractions of a cent for a token swap or an NFT sale on a different chain, like that maybe decides to even cover the entire costs and abstracts that for the user. It's still expensive if you want to do that on Ethereum mainnet, but
And so
that's not the use case.
The extrapolation of this, putting together what you said and then what Daim was talking about before, is that this can never be replicated because no economic-minded body is going to acquiesce to the creation of a chain that they are not in control of and that is decentralized by its nature, because it's hard to like.
Oh, I don't think it's even a matter of will. I think it's a matter of ability.
What do you mean?
Right? Like how is any person or organization or government going to, suddenly set up a new blockchain and get a more genuinely healthily distributed and decentralized set of nodes functioning than Ethereum does.
Yeah, interesting.
It's still, especially with the track record, you cannot. You have a zero, like when you like put it out, you have like 0 days uptime. Then a week later, you have like one week uptime, but you don't have
Ethereum's track record though.
11 years uptime. And the problem is also like always the neutrality between those parties. Like when some company or a bunch of venture capitalists throw in money and create a new chain and distribute tokens, even like in the same distribution as Ethereum is distributed, people would just like dump their tokens into the liquidity and just go away, because they say like, why should I use this? Like they have no credibility, no track record, just like sell it into ETH and I'm good. It's super hard to catch up with this.
I would just think that like if you have a chain like Solana, right, which still gets dragged for its sporadic downtimes, right, the most important thing that they could possibly do is to change the image of themselves by increasing their decentralization. I mean, whenever I hear criticisms of Solana, even I think you guys, maybe Renee, you had sent one, or maybe perhaps that was you, Daim, but maybe it was even Untitled. A couple of days ago was talking about like Solana basically like blacklisting certain addresses and how like that centralization is kind of the same.
Yeah, that was me.
Why Solana gets dragged through the mud all the time. It's like these different efficacious the same centralization.
I mean, they basically started trying to prevent people from being able to bridge to base from Solana.
That's what it was. Yeah, thank you for reminding me.
Yeah,
allegedly. I mean, I don't want to like, I don't want to be defaming the Solana network without hard proof, but at least that was the.
I mean, that was the post. That's what the post was saying. Yeah. That was on X.
But either way, like it's a fairly conceivable accusation, just because we know from the kind of general FUD around Solana and it's intellectual brethren networks, that kind of centralization is kind of part and parcel of.
I mean, it invites exactly that sort of abuse.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually kind of amazing if you think about it that on Ethereum, when a US-based company decides to be extra judicious in trying to adhere to whatever bullshit US I don't know, international, I forget even what the list is called, but back when OpenSea started banning Iranian artists, like that stood out. That was weird because Ethereum itself never would, and I don't even imagine could do such a thing.
Sure.
Even if there was a gun held to somebody's head in a position of control.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. I guess I never obviously my tech experience is lacking, and so like I never building on the network and kind of only seeing like when people make bull cases for Ethereum, it's always based on like community engagement, like the size of the community. I guess it's interesting to hear that like essentially that is a an expression of the decentralized kind of node system of the network. I mean, it's an expression of all of this, right? How long it's been going, the stability of the network over that entire period of time, the many like actual personal stakes in the network that so many people have, as opposed to other networks where people are kind of just more or less mercenaries, which I think maybe describes the experience of like running a node versus just trading on the network or making transactions on the network. I don't know, I didn't expect that we were going to talk about this, but it's been very educational.
Yeah.
This is how MOCA town halls roll.
Yeah, it's
Never
like
know where you're gonna end up.
you guys understand something technical that I don't, and I'm like, hey, can you explain to me how this works? And then hopefully it's helpful for someone listening. Maybe we can talk about Deco's MOCA stuff. Renee, what's been going on? Can you talk about what you've been working on?
What do we want to show? Should we like show the meme generator?
You're pretty proud
Oh
of it.
yes, dear God, that's looking amazing.
Let me share my screen.
Yeah, I think I'm going to probably start regularly using that, and I've not traditionally been a huge meme guy, so
Just unbelievable icons, thumbnail.
Max loves the thumbnails.
I just think they're very creative in a way which completely like this is my kind of content.
Yeah,
The Deco Map Sea Captain is still, I think, my favorite, but they're all really great.
Which one?
The Deco World Map, the Sea Captain.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
So talk to me about the meme generator. What was the idea behind it? And
so we had this other app, like a meme studio, where people, where we like gathered all the memes that people were posting on Discord. So we had this phase where people were generating memes with Nano Banana, like bringing in a deco and then map it to like a certain meme. And then, you know, that was like the foundation. And then we thought like, why not like strip away the texts and enable everybody to rewrite the memes. And that's why we created the meme generator, which basically grabbed the templates, cleaned them up, and then you can now type whatever. And then either like copy it to clipboard, paste it directly somewhere else in Discord or on X, or like download the meme onto your computer. And we are able to like feed an infinite amount of these nano-bananerized or decorized memes into this, and then allow people to customize them with whatever narrative they want to tell.
So and I guess this is so crypto in spirit, right? Like we're sort of memifying memes in a sense. It's like memes squared.
I guess, yeah, because like we believe that the bull run is going to come. Like we are still bullish, I would say, as like a team. And what is important, like you need to stack for the fight about attention, you need to stack memes so that the community can like, you know, bring in decos into the global conversation on social networks and stuff. But then beyond that is like the next step, what Daim just said, you know, give them the tools to create memes in low friction and like create their versions of it. So if we kind of like prepare ourselves and our stack for this moment when the attention comes back, and then we can show the people the tools that they can use to like, yeah, spread the word about the NFT community that they are invested in, that they have a stake in. So as a deco holder, you will be able to leverage all the stuff in the Vibe Studio to help to tell the story, to help our community to tell the story. And I think memes are an essential part of that.
My thinking would be that there would come a point where like you would have the meme, and then you would be able to upload your whatever deco you want into the kind of generator in order to like, you know, if I had a deco that I could have, that's a very funny caption. But I can
were you listening in on our conversations, Max? Be
no,
honest.
well, I'm making them go a little bit over my head. But you know, I usually click around, but I would have to think that would be the, you know, I think what something we're talking about is like personal stake. How do we get people to like have an actual personal investment in?
Yeah. I mean,
right. And so
what you're describing,
mm-hmm.
what you're describing is exactly the direction that we're looking to build this in.
Yeah.
The idea being that you know, you I mean, right now we sort of have pre-decoified basis for the meme texts, but yeah, I think both Renee and I totally see the pathway for this to be built out to a point where, you know, you pick a base meme and a deco, and the decoification happens real time,
mm-hmm.
specifically for the deco that you've chosen.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, that has to be the direction of everything, right? Like the direction of general tech is going in it's going towards gosh, I can never speak when I'm on these calls. It's so frustrating.
Like hyper customization,
hyper
personalization.
You know, when you are offering these tools, just AI tools in general, whether it's Sora or Nano Banana, right? They're getting so good and they're so easy to use and they're so cheap and they're so quick. The idea is that like you're just hyper customizing outputs just based on a whim, right? There needs to be no secondary thought. That can just be like, it's so momentary and it's so personal. And so, I don't know, I think it would have to be that like gathering people around decos, of course, that's going to be in our ecosystem, but it's going to become so customary that every thing can be run through the meat grinder of somebody's own kind of like internal output machinery. If that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes lots of sense.
Like you think about, I mean, I always end up doing this thought experiment. I feel like I do it every week in the newsletter, which is like, where are we 1 year from now, right? What does culture look like? What does like our practical AI look like? And I remember talking about this about a year ago when we were talking about like AI video generation and how still kind of wasn't there, right? It was still, you know, you had a couple of tools and those tools could be used to great effect by those who were like really well versed in prompt engineering. And then within a year, we've reached this point with Sora where Sora and Google VO3, where you can pretty reliably generate completely unique and individualized content with hyper realistic graphics if you want to, with almost no friction, so long as you have access to the tools themselves. And you know, it's going to take some time, probably a matter of months before like cultural effects of that, right? What does it do to like internet experience? And we always talk about like, well, if you can't trust things on the internet, and everyone learns that you can't trust any video, or like your automatic assumption is that a video is AI generated, like what does that actually do to content consumption, etc. We're still like yet to see those effects, even though the tools themselves have totally come into being. And what I think about is like in a world of instant hyper customization of all content, what becomes the driving force of content creation, right? Like what is the point? Where does attention go? And I wonder,
and when you then, you know, remix in IP or allowed to remix in IP in that process, I think that can adjust the direction or the course of the overall cultural narrative.
Totally, because you're now like you're moving yourselves within like a gated community, essentially, not actually gated, but like thematically gated, right? Like if everyone has access to the same tools, and those tools are going to be better on the whole than all the other tools that came before them, and they're going to be producing outputs that, in the vast glut of many millions and millions and millions of outputs every day, are kind of indistinguishable from another. How do you break out of that mold? And it's by going within to smaller communities and either working with their IP or working with their kind of like internal language. Does that make sense?
Well, but yeah, that makes sense. But I also think that equalization of production quality will also mean that suddenly the concept and the sort of psychological execution will start to matter more. Like do you have a meaningful story? Because there are countless meaningless stories that are produced with equally high quality and high resolution and polished visual appearance, but if yours stands out because there's actually substance below that AI provided sheen and polish, then that's going to be another way to stand out, and that honestly feels like maybe downright a positive prospect.
I think you're 100% right, and I think that the manner of how that kind of meaning making happens is through like the interaction between the creator and like the manner of their audience, right? Like just throwing content out into the void, I don't think will have nearly the same ability to meaning make as more specific content for a smaller audience. I mean, we've talked about this for years and years and years in terms of like what we want MOCA to be, right? Do we want to just like increase our reach as much as possible, or do we want to have like a smaller community of more invested people? And I think we all have collectively kind of chosen the second, right? We want to create these tools for like our kind of smaller developer community. We want the newsletter, the writings have gotten off of Twitter and are now kind of for this like smaller and hopefully more invested community. And I think when it comes to like the generation of new content, right, you're hoping to get more specific, you're hoping to get more like technical, you're hoping to get more like nitty gritty with like social I guess less ubiquitous social awareness, because it's from there that you can then make meaning for people, right? Like the evolution of these deco memes, I think, is a really good indication of what that looks like, because outside of the community that we have, maybe like even just on our Discord of like the couple hundred people, like these images are not there is no meaning making to be found in them. And then it's the evolution, right? The one you showed before, Renee, of like the guy with the strawberry on its head. It's like, okay, that becomes a touchstone, right? Or the fruit of thy loins, Daim, is one that I think even within like the MOCA team has become like kind of its own in joke, right? Its own iconography. It's a traditional Art Deco. Well, it looks like a traditional Art Deco, but it's this.
Yeah, in fact, it isn't. It's a regular Art Deco that vaguely looks like a traditional Art Deco, and that makes it even more impactful.
Yeah, Daim called it "Fruit of Thy Loins," and it's become this like, it itself has become a meme, and that the image is all this like information and iconography and history wrapped up in it, and the knowledge of those things within a certain in group, I think, is going to become I think there's a possibility that it becomes kind of the chief cultural engine, right? The awareness of hyper-specific iconography that generalized content and generalized AI creation can't match.
And it's organic.
Because
I mean, you said like we want to be small, but we are only small because we don't pay KOLs to shill our shit, but we can still grow. Like it's just like a small, organically grown, like early crypto OG, interested in arts and cultures, the people that are still there, lots of artists, which is the base that all of these people they share our ideology, our like mission, our manifesto. Quickly go into that, like share these words and stand behind what we've been saying since 2021 when we relaunched MOCA into like this big thing that has become. And like on a foundation like this, an organic growth, it's similar to like Ethereum as a community where we don't like, they don't do paid marketing stuff the same way that we don't do paid marketing stuff. But by building tools and give dev tooling to the people, and like spread arts and culture via like things like the meme studio, you know, like all of these things that we as a group serve. And all of this is of course like open source, like everybody can fork these things. That's the front end code base, you know. This is the other one is the back end. We also have like the back end, the API. Like all of this is being used to like invite builders, with the goal to organically grow over like the spans of decades, instead of getting peak hype for a week and then dump down and drain out over the course of a month, and just extract the attention of people. Like that was never what we intended to do. And with the direction that we've been going, especially this year, by going fully open source with the stuff we build and like opening up to the community. Now we have like all these channels on Discord where people like talk about the projects that they are vibe coding. This is, I think, the way that I haven't seen a lot, to be honest, in NFTs. And if we can be that project that, with a long-term and honest and idealistic intention about all of this, leans into this future that we just like described and talked about, and like try to capture attention in a world where everything is going to be AI. It's like authenticity that others will have a hard time to replicate, because we already have like a track record of 5 years now.
Yeah, like there's only two real reactions to like timelines in general that are filled with slop, right? I don't trust the current. I was just talking to a friend of mine about so I don't have the social media apps on my phone. I use them through a browser, like an old person, and I check my Twitter and I check my Instagram and I check my Facebook all through the browser. And
Nice.
somebody was asking me why I scroll on Facebook, which is just for whatever reason I scroll on Facebook on a browser on my phone, instead of TikTok, instead of Twitter, instead of Instagram. And I was saying they're all the same, right? Facebook never shows me, almost never shows me, the content that actually like my friends post. Not that the content, I have 1,300 friends from when I made my Facebook when I was 12 years old. So not that that content is like related to me in any way, shape, or form, but all of the social media, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, they've all moved towards media that's algorithmically shown to you, right? They're all basically the same thing. My experience really of using Facebook is no different than the experience of using Instagram. I get mostly pictures and videos. It's all algorithmically designed for me. It's all like suggested for you, etc. So it's really just the environment that changes, right? Like almost just the color scheme and very small specificities of the algorithms, which are basically across the board, across social media, all excellent at this point. They're all excellent at getting you to sync your attention. And so I have no faith in any of the social media companies to avoid AI slop in the future, or avoid pushing it, because algorithmically it will become so accustomed and so frequent that, like, I don't know. I don't have any faith in their ability to deny me on a For You page or with suggested posts that kind of content, especially if that kind of content becomes 90% of all content. And so the only two options people have are to either follow exclusively human creators and hope that through their, or I'm sorry, only follow creators who they like specifically are invested in, right? Whether they're using AI or not, right? Whether that's going to be denoted with a golden check mark or whether it's just, kind of the name recognition of a certain account. That's one thing. Or two, people will go towards these non-algorithmic spaces. They will just move towards them en masse and spend more time there, because at least they know that the content there can come from, or it won't just be kind of algorithmically generated slop. And maybe we don't want to see that slop. Maybe we realize that it takes a toll on our brain, etc. And so I do think that people are going to end up searching for more human spaces. I mean, I wrote about this on in my newsletter this week. It always ends up having some kind of a connection. that like 30 to 40% of all Reddit posts now are in some ways AI augmented, whether they're AI generated outright or, exaggerated using, AI to dress up a post. And that is a very human space that is now kind of losing its humanity. And like, where do people go to then regain that humanity if it's wanted at all? I don't know. Well, they will go to spaces like Discord servers, and they will go to spaces where they can trust other creators to at least be people, people who share the same values as them, or share the same interests with them, or share at least the same kind of lexicon as they do. And I do like the creation of these tools and having these tools and kind of setting the flag on the moon in this way is important over a long time horizon. I guess it's a long way of saying I agree with you.
Nice.
Yeah,
and then we are back to like, giving the tools, building the stuff so that all of this can form around MOCA and the crypto art world. Let me show you something that's very experimental.
You want me to put your screen back up?
Yeah, exactly. So we have this API thing. Daim, by the way, we now have like an example that explains people how to filter by an ETH address. So you can get the inventory of like all the decos owned by someone.
Of your own, yeah, sweet.
Yeah, so this basically...
I think we gotta quickly make an app for like getting all your own decos, download links.
Yeah, that's a good idea. True. Yeah, like it actually was possible from the Directors API. Everybody could have like found that out, but it's like a bit complex to navigate this thing, right? With all the fields that exist, like go through all of this data. So what we thought, and let me show you something. It's a bit abstract. So this page that you just saw is going to be is generated from this open API specification, which is JSON. And we can feed, and that's another idea for a vibe coding application that we had in the office today. We feed this entire thing in form of what you just saw into a language model, into the context window of a language model, and then allow the people to ask in a very simple chat interface if an idea that they have is possible to build. So something like an idea reactor. You just ask it, is it possible to have a website, to build an application where I can download all my deco images? And the LLM will answer to yes, it's possible, because of the example context here. It's going to understand that you can fetch all the decos from your inventory, but also from the more abstract information over here. Like, we are going to give more examples, write more examples into the sidebar for humans to read it, but we are going to like ship this small application where every developer can ask before he starts building, is it possible to realize this idea? And then the LLM answers like, yeah, it's possible, just go ahead. It's like another tooling that we could just like vibe code into existence. And it like these kind of like things that we that ideas that are being sparked while building all of this and while improving our existing infrastructure, it just like shows that in the end it's intelligence and culture that converge. Like with enough intelligence, with enough compute, you can fuel this perpetual machine of content creation. And then we are again back to where we started. Where do we want to guide this creation process? Like you want to guide it around IP, around things that you connect with. And if we close that bridge and offer the compute for people, and we offer the culture and the tools, people can vibe code and build a lot of things without us even having to handhold, because everything is going to be automated.
I mean, and you said something in the past I found very useful to thinking about this, which is like, let's see what people want. Let's see what people use. and then we can start building from there, right? Then we can improve tooling from there once we like know what people are like interested in, once we know what our community like where they spend their time, right? And I think that that's really important, right, to like build this, given that we have the ability to do so with, you know, the vibe coding, the speed of doing that, the ability to create all of these different vectors for people to have different investments in the project and investments in the ecosystem, and then, you know, creating all of these different entryways in, waiting to see which people use, and then expanding on those. But of course,
and this scales that even more, because now everybody can like tinker around. You know, we could have like this idea app, this idea reactor. We could build it or vibe code it in a way that like you have like a chat log that you could like even store valid ideas, so that everybody else who visits the idea reactor sees ideas that have been like somebody has like asked, is that possible? And then he adds that to some sort of wish list, even if they are not even able to vibe code themselves yet. Like some other developer could go there and see that, realize, oh yeah, it's possible according to the documentation that the LLM is like analyzed for me. Maybe even give like an approach of how to start building it, and then it comes into existence.
Yeah,
and to me,
Yeah,
that
that's
is
really
like
cool.
an interesting, you know, flywheel that I haven't seen anywhere else yet. Like, you know, it's really like puzzle pieces falling into place, that stuff that can only happen when you deal with these novel ways of working and building on the day-to-day. It's just impossible to come up with something like this out of the blue, you know what I mean?
There's a post going around that I was sent a couple times about prediction markets and how they're going to completely like erase traditional markets. And the example that was being given was like, you're not going to buy a bag of kiwis. If you want kiwis, you're going to put in like a Kashi bet or a Polymarket bet on whether someone is going to deliver you kiwis, you know, for half the price of the kiwis. And then people are going to bet on whether you're going to kiwis the next 15 minutes. And then someone might go pick up kiwis and then bring them to you, so as to or lose the bet. And it's I don't know, that makes me think of the same thing where I promise that was connected when I first started and now it just seems completely abstract. Maybe that's just interesting on its face, but I
love that.
I swear I was listening to what you were saying.
Crazy.
A great connection between those 2 points, and now it's just completely escaped me. You'll have to trust me on that at some point there was a cogent thought.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that.
Oh, it was related to the
like
oh, there's something that like anybody can build it, right? It's like crowdsourcing, like creation. It's like crowdsourcing, like the developmental market in the same way that like you could be crowdsourcing anything, right? You know,
development, the delivery of kiwis.
Yeah, well, just like when you have the tools are so speedy and the tools are so ubiquitous, and you have a completely open environment, and you have, you know, many vectors of possible like addition to tech stack, then why wouldn't you? I mean, you're essentially placing a request for behavior, and then anybody can then fulfill that request. It's like an automatic bounty board.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
And why, you know, it's the economic incentives of speculator freaks. It's just like, it's an abstract thought, but from a speculator's point of view, this stuff, from a market point of view, that stuff will like just manifest. Because some random dude like buys in at whatever like uncertain like position that this prediction market bet might be in at that given time, I guess you said, and just like place a bet, wait it out, and deliver the kiwis just in time. Prove it to the oracle, and you're good. You know, you even like you 100x your money that you paid for the kiwis that you deliver someone else. Like, this is like the crazy shit that comes out of like hyper tokenization or hyper financialization of every aspect of life, which is going to make everything so weird. It's just like the early, you know, the early glimpses into that crazy shit. And you can hate that, you don't have to like it, but it will happen around you nevertheless. It doesn't have to touch you, you know? You're powerless to it, yeah.
Well, we're powerless against it. We're almost out of time today. So, Renee and Daim, do you have anything you want to end with, or shall we just get out of here?
Yeah, I'm
No,
good.
I think we're good to go. Yeah, this has been a pretty amazing and kind of freewheeling conversation. I love all the directions we explored.
That's what you get here in the MOCA Town Hall. You guys didn't even realize I was wearing a furry shirt this whole time. Little reveal for you at the end. Go
Is
Huskies.
that so?
Thank you very much, Daim. Thank you very much, Renee. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And we'll be back next Thursday with another MOCA Town Hall. We are looking forward to seeing you then. So long to you two, and so long to everybody else.
See ya.